You good there?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Let me check mine too.
I better check mine too.
It'd be 3.
The new iPhone 16. It's taken me 2 weeks to get used to that new button.
Well, that and the fact that they didn't give you a cube.
Yeah, they didn't give you the brick. Did you see that post that I did?
Oh, dude, yeah. I literally just got a new phone too.
It was actually amazing how many people reached out once I put that out. Like, I was blown away. Like 40 plus people.
Because it related.
Yeah, but it's not a new thing. You just haven't gotten a new phone in a while. But everybody's like, yeah, $1,600 for a phone. I should get the brick.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean,
You should.
You spend legitimate money.
What do they want you to plug it into?
Well, you made the point. I didn't even think about it when I bought it, but it's like, just build it into the cost. Like, if it's going to cost you $5, which it probably cost them $0.25.
Oh yeah.
Like, just charge me $1,300 and a quarter.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll pay for it. But like, I shouldn't have to go to the store.
But that's what I'm saying is it isn't because they couldn't build it into the cost. Like, they want you to have to go buy something else.
Yeah.
It's like baked in repeat business, and they're hoping you buy the Apple brick. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
That's by design.
It does matter too, doesn't it? Like Apple versus generic brand.
Oh, I think so.
Same thing with the cords. Like, they charge faster or slower.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
100%, yeah.
I had a nightmare trying to get this new phone. It literally took me from last Monday to Wednesday, 2 days ago, to get that.
That's the 16?
Yeah.
Pro
Do you
Max.
like it?
Yeah, you got the nicest camera on that one.
Well, this is just the Pro,
Or the
but
Pro.
it's a 1 terabyte because I got so much stuff on here.
Yeah.
So they had the terabyte. I got
had-
the 512. I thought I was kicking it, but
I didn't realize I had 700 gigs on my 13.
it is pretty nice though. Like, when you the type of work
700
that we're doing
gigs.
too.
You don't even really film with your phone, do you?
The people at the Verizon store were like,
What is it?
I've never seen a transfer this big before.
And it
I'm
transferred?
like, yeah, you haven't.
Yeah, you got to see the transfer on this guy.
You see the transfer over here. No, but it was an experience. They sent me home, but the first one that they ordered me, the charging port didn't even work.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Exactly.
That's like a common thing that's happened before? Or were they like, we've never seen this before?
I don't know what I think it was their first week at Verizon. But I brought it back and I said, just activate my old phone and then order me a new one. I'm not paying $1,300 for a phone that doesn't charge the right way. And they're like, why don't you just go get a magnetic charger? And I'm like, that's your solution?
Yeah. I just bought this.
I just bought this. And then they're like, okay. Because I didn't have anything transferred yet. So they're like, just take that phone, get a magnetic charger, and then keep your old phone with all your stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
This phone will make calls and text, and your old phone will just have all your stuff on it until your new phone comes in. They're like, but you probably should buy a case for this one, because if you break it, then you're not going to be able to return it. And I was like, you're upselling me on a case after all this?
I come in here with the problem and I'm going to pay you money?
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm good. I already got a case. I'll make sure it doesn't break and I'll get it back to you.
Yeah. They want your money.
They do. And
It's all they want.
they'll go to a lot of measures to get it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
So let's do a real quick intro. We are in the great state of Ohio, in Columbus, which is where your
Went to
alma
school?
mater.
It sure is.
We're just down the road from the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yep. National champions in football. We don't have to talk about that, though. So.
No, but we're at the open season show, and we're actually in this really cool Airbnb right off of High Street here, and I think we've showcased it pretty well on Instagram, but like the layout's different. Like, we're in the first level that is like a bedroom /
Office /
Yeah,
living room.
This is.
Looks like they played
little poker.
here. I imagine euchre has been played at this table.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe a little coffee. Sipping on a little Javi.
I kind of like these chairs though.
It's pretty slick.
But-
Isn't euchre like a Midwest thing?
It is, I think. You know what euchre is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been places where people have never heard of it.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure somebody told me it's like a Midwest thing exclusively.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I would need a little refresh on the.
Me too. Every time I have to relearn the rules.
Yeah.
You
But
guys
then
are-
once you get back in it, you're like,
It's like,
all
this
right,
is great.
I'll
Yeah.
play this for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys need a refresh?
Yeah.
Well, just
Every
a
time.
little one.
Yeah.
I don't need a
Like
refresh.
just a test hand. Just a,
Figured you didn't need a
I don't need a
refresh.
He's like, I got that shit on lock.
We play that as a
Every-
family, like legit.
Every gathering.
Like Jeff Hicks, he's been playing euchre since he was a wee little lad.
So he knows all the tricks.
He's lights out at euchre.
You want to be his partner.
Can I tell you a real story?
Yeah.
True story.
Gotta always
I mean,
preface with that.
The day that my grandfather died, Grandpa Hicks, he was in the Eaton Rapids newspaper for winning the euchre tournament in town a couple nights before.
no kidding.
So it's in the blood.
I think we still have that paper.
So you got to be Nate's partner if you want to win euchre here.
I'm not that good, but like it runs in the family, I'll
Yeah.
just say.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Is and then he takes all your money.
Yeah. You're getting hustled.
I'm not that good.
But you said Midwest thing, New York, Michigan. Is that all considered Midwest?
Well, yeah, but you're. I mean,
I'm technically an
Ohio.
Ohio
yeah.
native.
We probably ought to do some introductions a little too. Maybe.
Right here, right now?
I mean, for the listener, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Dave.
I'm Nate.
I kind of forgot we were recording on the camera, to tell you the truth. I'm Dev.
So this podcast is going to be, we've decided that it's going to be aired on, what do you call it?
Goose chasing.
The Goose Chasing podcast and the Painted Arrow podcast.
Yep.
Just because we were like, hey, maybe we should do two different. But we're like, no, we're just going to do one, and we're going to just do it good.
Do it good.
Do it long and good.
Ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once
As I ever was. That's right.
So there's that. And then I think we wanted to announce to you guys, like, this year, 2025, Tag and Brag and Painted Arrow,
Working together.
we're working together on some things. We got some things that we're cooking, and we're going to be collaborating on a lot of different things. But
Content, products, the whole deal.
and we talked about doing like these hunting camp things, and I think that's personally what I'm most excited about. Is just like, because everything else is like work, kind of. You know what I mean? It's fun work. Like, we're blessed to be able to do it.
Sure.
All that, yada
Yeah.
yada. But like, it's work.
Yeah.
It's part of growing the brands and etc. But the hunting camps,
It's the fun part.
that's like the couple months of the year where we get to really kick it, and I think that's what everybody relates to. That's why we're here, right? The fall, the rut, the deer, the chasing, the whole thing. Like, that is really what it boils down to. And so I think we're going to try and do
Definitely.
some hunting camps together and like film that for the viewer to like see, I guess, behind the scenes. Is that for lack of better words?
I mean, we'll film the hunts, but I think the emphasis is on like, hey, this is hunting camp.
100%.
The camaraderie, the whole deal.
I like
But I
that.
guess it is behind the scenes, but it's ultimately like the scenes.
That's right.
It's the scenes.
I mean, that's why we're all
Mhm.
here. You know, we all had an experience in the hunting world that like helped you guys start your business, helped us start our business, and I don't even remember how we all got connected. I know
You were on our podcast a long time ago. You remember that?
That's what it was.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I can't-
we have like 3 of the original
Yeah.
Painted Arrow.
I'm 90% sure it went something like this. We were at the Total Archery Challenge in Michigan, and we had somebody posted me giving the pitch of the product on TikTok, the Bowhunter Planet TikTok page.
Okay.
It was going crazy viral, and we very quickly reposted that same thing on our own Instagram, and that did really well too. And that weekend, I think somebody commented on it, was like, hey, this is cool. Like, just very basic like that. And I think one of us responded to you, and we're like, we'll send you some. And then we
Okay.
sent you guys a couple of the original mounts. And then through that, I think we were like, hey, you guys want to jump on a podcast? Nate and I literally were in his Ford F-150 in the parking lot of a B-Dubs when we did that parking lot or that podcast. And
It's true.
that was
It's a true story.
that was 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh
The-
yeah.
Total side, quick note. We used to do all of our podcast in a truck.
It should have been just called the Truck Pod because everyone was in a pod.
And you
in the
think
truck.
about the sound dampening and everything. Like it
Yeah,
worked. That's
it
how
worked.
we did it for years.
It was beautiful
That is a beautiful thing.
because we would meet up on lunch hours and stuff when we were both still working day jobs and
Yeah,
like had really
yeah.
limited time. It'd be like, hey, you got time for a 30-minute podcast, 40-minute podcast? We'd just meet up, jump on the rig, and
That's funny.
knock it out.
Honestly, when we started ours, Dean and I kind of came up with the idea while we were in the truck on like a road trip to North Dakota or somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was like we were just kind of BSing and telling stories and stuff. And
Why are
like
we not
we'd
recording
get
this?
like a half hour into it and both of us are crying, laughing.
Yeah.
And we were like, if that was recorded, that would have been money. Like people would love that, and it was just so authentic because like we were in our element, so it was like we could feel it. So we felt like
yeah.
other people could easily feel it too, and
You know the ones that'll hit.
yeah, oh for sure. And so I mean that's the reason that we came up with Goose Chasing as our podcast name was because when we grew up with my dad and my uncle. Like they would start taking us hunting when we were so young. We would literally sit on the platform of a tree stand and they would stand with us like in between their feet.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking like not late 90s, you know, the bows were way different, aluminum arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how straight they were the arrows even were like I hate like there was very few, you know, smoked them right through the lungs and watched them go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the goose chase kind of started after the shot.
That's really interesting. So like, I see what you're saying.
It was just the memory of like finishing the story was the goose chase because it was always different.
yeah.
Like we didn't experience anything like they do on TV where it's like
Watched him go down right there in that thicket.
There he is. He
Yeah.
he
So
died right in the field. And
Are you equating that with just like learning how to become a better bow hunter too?
yeah, just honestly, it's kind of the goose chase of life. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, what are you seeking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because I really relate with that now that you explain what it means more to you.
So many people think it's like we're like goose hunting, and we've never goose hunted a day in our life. But it's
Yeah.
like that was just kind of and for whatever reason, like that was the term. You know, like that is what my dad and uncle. Oh, we're
On a wild goose chase.
going on a goose chase again. You know,
What the hell does that even mean though? It's not there.
Dude, my
know.
family grew up saying that too.
I know,
My
but,
mom
like,
would be like,
you
"Going
think
on a
about
wild
it.
goose chase." Like, what does that mean?
You know what my mom says to my son now? She goes, "We're going on a bear hunt. We're gonna catch a big one." I'm like, where did we start saying that? But I kind of like it. But no, that's good because I remember being like a young bow hunter. Like it never felt like every time like the arrow was released was like, okay, here like
Now it starts.
now it's starting.
Yeah,
And you don't know what's
that's
gonna
when
happen.
It was. That's when it did start.
Yeah.
It really was. Like,
Like I think I got him, you know. I think he went that way. Let's go find out.
I did not get him. Like,
yeah, the arrow's in him.
yeah, that's right.
That's fantastic.
Some of the stories we probably couldn't even like where this all originated. Like telling these stories in the truck. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing like illegal happened, but like
Not the most
just-
ethical type stuff.
well, just yeah. I mean, it was kind of the reality of the hunt at that
Yeah.
point, based on the equipment and
I think that's everybody though,
everything.
dude.
yeah.
I mean,
It's got. I mean,
it's
yeah,
part of killing things.
right, right.
Like
Yeah,
it
there's
isn't
an ugly
always
side.
clean.
Yeah, there's an ugly side to it for sure.
That's for sure. And not to mention, like, you can imagine trying to, like, you know, shoot something with a bow with a 8-year-old in between your feet, standing on a ladder stand that's like 8 feet off the ground, you know?
Yeah.
You've been standing in the same, it's not like the stands now, like mobile, you know, cushion seats and all
Right.
that stuff. It's like, no, they were just standing for hours, and we were literally like, their way of telling us that they could see something, or they saw a deer, was just giving us like a little toe tap on the hip.
Yeah.
Like, you get that toe tap and my heart would just be like,
Yeah.
So
I'm like, where is it?
So for our listeners that are listening to this, can you give like a quick synopsis of you, your brother, your family, and like
Channel, like, yeah, just
Tag and Brag?
Yeah.
Give like I wanted it to be in depth, but not like an hour long. But
Yeah.
like, give me like the synopsis of
No,
that.
I mean, we started a brand called TAGNBRAG, and it originally started we were trying to create a social media site for the hunter to showcase, to relive their hunt, and in tandem, we just started, Dean and I we always had a camera in our hands. We were infatuated with outdoor TV, and we started filming our hunts, and it got to the point where it was like, we created a YouTube channel around the hunt and kind of around like the camp atmosphere too. Like, we literally would film everything. It wasn't like we got in the tree and just hit record. Like, the cameras were rolling back at camp, like around the campfire, the jokes being told and all that stuff. And so I think our brand kind of got built with that hunt camp feel to it. And we kind of went down the road of the development for the website and the phone app and stuff got a little bit out of our hands. It kind of burned us out from doing what we actually love to do. And in tandem, we were building a YouTube channel and a brand, or we were operating under the same brand and our YouTube channel around like that hunt camp feel. And we filmed all of our hunts too, most unsuccessful, but we also kind of brought our like personalities and the camaraderie into it that really ignited us to be passionate hunters to begin with.
Sure.
And I think that's where, that's how our brand kind of got built, is that it wasn't all about like the kill.
Yep.
We realized by a lot of attempted successful hunts and a lot of failure that we were never going to kill as many big bucks as like Lee and Tiffany, and we weren't going to outproduce Heartland Bowhunter. But when people watched us, the comments that we were getting and everything was just like, our personalities, we feel like we're with you guys, so we could control that. That was like what we felt like we could control. And we just ran with it.
Yeah.
And we do more of like a video blog style format. So you're going to see the whole journey of our season. Like, you're going to, on our YouTube channel, you're going to watch a lot of hunts that we don't kill anything.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take that specific hunt away from a viewer that may be able to pick up something like a tactic or, our setups or whatever that may be able to help them, or just the, entertainment value of seeing deer and being able to enjoy a hunt. I mean, 95% of the time that we go into the woods, we don't kill anything, but there's not many hunts you can't walk away from that you're like,
right,
that sucked.
Yeah.
You always learn something.
If you're open-minded enough, absolutely.
And Dean is younger than you by how many years?
Just 2.
2 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, once we got into high school, it was like, we were lucky because we were best friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We played sports together. We hunted together. We obviously started this business together. And so it just, and everybody thinks we're twins, but we're two polar opposite people.
Personalities and stuff.
Yeah. And so I guess that's why it probably clicked, and just, it works for us. And it, like, for our, I don't know, us getting along and just being able to kind of ride through the hard times and, ride the wave a little bit. It works because we're, if I get a little high strung over something, he kind of brings me back down. If he's kind of down here, I'm like, come on, boy.
Yeah.
Let's go get it.
And Dean is like, he's like the food plot master, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what he loves.
Yeah. He honestly, I think he likes that more than the hunt.
He enjoys that aspect of the planting and the full year aspect.
The land management.
Oh yeah. And then seeing, The
what it
deer
does.
pile in, and he likes watching a deer grow
Yeah.
more than he likes killing it,
Yeah.
for sure. Like he wants to see everyone get to its like full potential.
Yeah.
And he's not like I wouldn't call him like a greedy like trophy hunter by any means, but that process he's just infatuated with.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like this year when we went on this elk hunt, the crazy elk hunt that we went on, that was the first time ever. It feels like that's the first time ever where I was like, my role was completely different. Where like I wasn't the hunter, and my role was like, just keep the boys positive and get them to kill.
Which that's not an easy job on the hunt that you guys were on.
But like, looking
you were
at,
like, keep the vibes high and document the entire thing. Like you were, in a way, like you were the guide. Like obviously you didn't know where the elk were. You're not from the area, but like you essentially led the hunt in terms of, you're like the chauffeur.
But like,
That's
just
what it felt like.
when I hear you talk about Dean and like him enjoying that process,
Yeah.
like I kind of see like that was like for me, that was a new thing for me this year. I'm like, man, that could be
Really fun.
that could be like a new thing for me where I'm just like really trying to get people into it, and it's definitely addicting. Like,
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's very addicting. That it truly takes it 365 days a year at that point.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said of like giving back to the land.
Oh yeah.
That gives to us as hunters.
Yeah.
And feeling some sort of responsibility, like to improve it. I mean, it's we've got a couple 100 acres in Western New York. That's kind of like our proving grounds. It's nothing. It's not like we have thousands of acres or whatever that we're improving, but we've also had an impact on like some of the neighbors up there. So they see what you're doing, and all of a sudden,
Jump on
you
board.
start shooting a couple quality deer, and then they jump on board, and now all of a sudden your little area gets a little better. So
That's awesome.
there's a little trickle down effect, I think, too.
Can you talk about really quick like how you guys got that land like over the years?
So my grandpa, it's close to a little lake up in Western New York called Chautauqua Lake. My grandparents had a lake house up there. He bought like a 40-acre chunk, I think, to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of started adding on little parcels around it until I think he had like 85 acres, all
touching.
Yeah, all touching, all on one side of the road. There was a little house right across the street. But growing up, like we would drive from the lake house, probably 15 minutes to the property, park on the side of the road. We're changing on the side of the road, rain or shine.
Dude, I have such like you're bringing back the good vibes right now.
And we, go in, come out for lunch. We'd go into town, grab lunch and whatever. And this is probably like 10, 12 years ago at this point, there was always this little house right across the street from the 85 acres. And this old couple lived in there. And like, you never saw them outside. You would see them like maybe pulling in and out of the driveway sometimes, but like their yard wasn't real well kept. Like it almost looked like nobody lived there.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really ever pay any attention to it. Dean and I were doing work the one day on the existing 85, and we come out to the truck, and I noticed there's a for sale sign in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Dean, this house is for sale. And I like take a picture of it on my phone. I send it to my dad and my uncle, and my dad's like, you got to call him. Like, we got to have that. Like,
Did you know how much land it was at the time, or you just thought it was the house?
No, I didn't know how much land it was. And actually it ended up being, it's 14 acres that was on, but there's a beautiful pond in the back, right in the middle of the backyard. And the house was like it's
A dumper.
Yeah, it's got to be built in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
So we call, and the house had been on the market for like 4 days, and it was already pending. Contingent of financing. My dad is beside himself. So we're like, call the realtor. Can we see it? Can we come see it anyway? Whatever. So she sets it up. The next day we go there. Me, Dean, my dad, and my uncle, the four of us who, the kind of four core TAGNBRAG. And we go there and we're walking through this house, and it is literally like, it stinks. There's old curtains. The carpet is nasty. Like, it just looks like this house has not been upkept in so long. And my uncle's like, this house is a POS. Like, who would ever want this house? My dad's like sobbing, like, why didn't we ever knock on the door and meet these people?
Yeah.
He
And-
wanted it.
Oh, so bad. So bad. Because it's perfect. It literally sets up right across the street from,
Coulda had it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And you guys had no structure on the 85 at this point.
Nothing.
Like, it was just vacant land.
vacant land.
Yep.
We lived out of the truck when we went
I
hunting.
love that.
So the lady's like, well, you could put in an offer, and if the financing doesn't go through, then I don't know.
Yeah.
The house was like 80 grand or something.
Mhm.
So we put in, we all got together. We put in an offer for the asking price, no contingencies. And after 30 days, the financing didn't go through. And I kept telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, you know what? I wasn't nervous at all. And I actually was like, this would be sick to have,
Yeah.
for us.
Can I ask like what the offer was? Was it like 80 grand?
Yeah. We just offered them what they were asking.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, Dad, if it's meant to be, it'll be. It's
It'll
not a
happen.
done deal yet. They
Yeah.
don't have,
Yeah.
but I guess it was passed down to the kids. They didn't want anything to do with it. So 30 days went by. They're like, it's yours. Literally, like, they didn't get financing. They've accepted your offer. All of a sudden, we had the house. And it was like, holy smokes, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So we got that 14 acres. And then the neighbor,
So you four bought it.
Yeah.
Coney now.
yeah, TAGNBRAG owns it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy that has property that connects to it in the back that really actually has no road access. He has 2 easements on either side of the farm that's in between us and then on the far side of that same farm, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a big cattle farm right next to us. It's like 60 acres, but it's literally all cow pasture. He had 2 easements on either fence line just to get into the back of his property, but it's like 98 acres back there. And it's solid, it's all secluded from the road. It's a solid chunk, and it literally only connects to the backside of this 14 that we got.
Mm-hmm.
And so a year later, he came to us and he's like, I'm thinking about moving to Idaho. Would you guys ever
He
want to?
came to you out of the blue.
Yeah.
Had you met this guy?
Yeah, we had known him.
So were you like planting seeds? Like, hey, if you ever interested in selling,
Honestly, not really, because we never thought that he would want to go anywhere.
really? So
I mean, this is
Vacant
a
land though.
vacant land. He had an
touching the backside of the 14.
Old, yep. And
Oh,
he had an old semi trailer on the back corner of this field, like on the back of this easement, that he would drive all the way back to. And like when the weather got bad, he had like a little coffee table and chairs set up in this old semi trailer, and he would just kind of
A
tuck
container.
Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
With no back door on it or anything. And he would go in there and just hang out, whatever. But like, he killed some pretty big deer back in this piece, and it was him and his buddy that hunted back there. They both, like, over the years had killed some pretty big deer, and like, we never saw anything like that across the road when we were normally hunting.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I don't know. It was like a
Dream come true.
kinda, yeah.
so he just comes to you. Was he from the area?
Yeah, he's from the area.
Okay, and he was
And I
just like,
think-
hey, I'm thinking about moving.
Yeah. And I think honestly, he was kind of like, oh, these Ohio boys, they got a little cash, whatever. They just bought this house. Like, let me see if I can go.
Yeah.
And then you called his bluff.
And we're like, we'll take that, but not for what you're asking for. So we kind of negotiated a deal with him, and he sold it to us. So we picked up the 92 acres on the back. So it's like a little over 100 between the house side and that back chunk, and then another 85. So it's I think it's a little short of 200 acres that we have total. But
Did you guys completely gut and renovate that house?
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Or did you knock it down and just build something new?
No. We completely gutted it. The first year we kind of got like Walmart carpet and just put it on the floor, and then the tongue and groove. Actually, no, we didn't even do the tongue and groove. It was like this from like Big Lots, this like wood looking
Paneling.
big paneling, and we just put that up over the walls to painted the
something.
rest, and Now it's completely gutted. Like when we got it, you wouldn't even have wanted to go upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
The upstairs was like a bird's nest and animals lived up there. And now it's beautiful. It's like tongue and groove all the way to the ceiling. We opened up a big dormer on the front with like 3 windows.
Wow.
We got like 6 beds up there. So it's kind of like
Did
a
you
loft.
guys personally do the work?
We did some of it in the beginning, but our neighbor up there is he has his own construction company.
Oh, nice.
So him and his crew, literally, we call it the house that Corey built because him and his crew, like,
Yeah.
they did
it need
up.
everything, like siding, roof, everything?
Everything.
Really?
Everything. There was this huge pine tree, huge, like bigger than this table in
Holy cow.
diameter, right in front, like almost touching the front corner of the house. And our neighbor, who is also a logger, we're like, this pine tree, like it's like tossing pine cones like out onto the roof. Like half of the branches were like growing out over the house. I mean, it was literally taking over.
Yeah.
It was growing halfway into the driveway. We're like, we got to take this thing out. I'm like, Dad, this thing falls 3 ways. It's going to hit the house. Like it can literally only go one way. And this dude comes in with his chainsaw. And he like makes his notch and he's going around the backside and then he's back to the front.
You guys were there watching?
Oh yeah. We got a video of it. I could find it on my phone, but yeah, we have a video of it. And he dropped this gargantuan pine tree
Right where
perfectly right where it needed to be. Like it literally fell. It was like 6 inches the whole time it was falling right next to the house. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. We should have just cut that thing down and let it fall on the house to begin with, probably.
Yeah.
dude.
It's cool though. It's like I can't even imagine hunting there now without
Because that's
camp.
where
So that's camp.
that's
It's
like where you
camp,
guys
dude.
go.
Did
It's
it
Camp
have
Cutlet.
Did it have outbuildings and stuff already too?
It had a little garage, and
Yeah.
we've like
Renovated that.
doubled the size of the garage
Nice.
too, and then we put a little lean-to over it because now we got a couple tractors. And
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there. We got like space outside to put all your gear and hang out. We actually in the basement, we gutted the basement, and there's 5 lockers in the basement, so it's kind of like a little like locker room feel.
Love that.
It's we're blessed. Like it's a
That's
very
so
cool spot to be able to park
Yeah.
the truck for the weekend
Yeah.
and literally
Let it
not
load
go
off.
anywhere. Yeah.
So you got 100 and some odd on one side of the road. You
Yep.
said 92 plus 14.
Yeah.
So that's
Yep.
106. 106.
Yeah.
And
On
then
the other side, you got 80 some.
Yep.
Which side's better?
Man, it depends on the day.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it like the 106 is like more swamp or something?
Yeah. The 106, the like behind camp is like swamp. Like when the bucks start really cruising, it's like it's just on, and there's no telling
What's gonna happen?
what could
Come through.
come through there.
And then the 82 is more like timber.
82 is like big timber ridges. Yeah, we've got a couple like smaller food plots. Actually, a majority of our food plots on that side of the road are actually bordering the road. So we've built like, we'll plant corn, or we actually
Is it a dirt road?
no,
No.
it's not a main road, but it's paved,
Yeah.
like double yellow line.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of like a cut through. There's 2 like highway, like,
Yeah.
state highways or whatever. And it connects, it's a 4-mile long road that connects the 2. So there's not a ton of traffic that comes down through there, but people are cruising. It's not like people are, going 25, 30 miles an hour cruising by.
So you have options basically. Like if you want to hunt one scene, you go there. If you want to hunt the other scene, you go there.
Yeah.
So you got your choice of
what's cool is you could hunt, 5 to 6 people there and on a couple hundred acres, and everybody's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
And
that's
you got
nice.
different wind options for a lot of different stuff. And
That's
yeah,
huge.
it's we're lucky. It's a solid setup. Like my dad, we get a chance to travel and hunt and all this stuff now, like October 1st to the end of the season. It's the only place that he wants to be.
Does he just live up there basically during that time?
Yeah. He's just up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of like that where it's like you're gonna have kids or whatever.
Yeah.
You can go up there. You guys co-own it
It's
all.
gonna be like a foundational part of the kids' like
Big time.
childhood.
For sure.
I want to go up to camp.
There's a pond in the back. We got fishing rods in the garage. Go up and
Dude,
wet a line. There's catfish. There's bass. There's bluegill.
it's a dream, man.
Sounds like literally like you just took me there. I'm like fishing on the bank right now.
Yeah, it's like honest. I don't ever take it for granted, but it's when you think like just talking to you guys, like we're very, very lucky to have like just everything timed up how it was supposed to, kind of. And I mean, it's so weird going back to think about like the getting out of the truck days. And it would be so annoying when it would be like just raining.
But at that time, you probably didn't care. You were just happy to be there.
No, and it didn't matter what the weather was doing. The more adverse weather, sometimes the better.
Yeah.
It was just like you're holding your bow and you're just rain and snow pellets are hitting you in the side of the face, and you're just like,
we're going hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the only ones out here in this, see no deer, but you're like, yeah, well, nobody else was out here. So that was a win.
That's right. Haven't you guys had, do I remember you telling me you had some trouble with neighbors and stuff at one point?
Oh, well, yeah, we still
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. I think it's just the odd, like, I don't know. People get so butthurt about like the out of state thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that's a lot of what it is.
But you guys aren't out of, I mean, you are.
Not really.
You grew up up there.
Grew up there. My dad and my brother have a business up there. My dad has his own business. Like he's got two business up there. I mean, paying taxes on the land, paying taxes on the house. Like we're
Yeah, what else do you need?
Yeah.
Like,
how do we need to sell ourselves?
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it just comes down to like a little bit of jealousy, and it's unfortunate that that's in the hunting world, but it's the reality. I mean, it's you go anywhere and you're going to find that now. And the crazy part is if we've tried to kind of mend the relationship.
I was going to say, is there like any fixing that, or?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. It like we've tried many times, and it would be insane if we all worked together, because we've already created, just an unbelievable whitetail habitat, really a habitat for everything. The turkeys are thriving there now. Everything is like coming back, and it's not just because of us, because we have other neighbors too that have kind of adopted some of the land management stuff, and they do the same thing. And so, if
does that guy own a decent chunk of ground?
Yeah, I think it's like he owns like 350 or something.
Oh man.
And it's like that new 92 acres that we bought, like it literally borders like three sides of his.
Is it sour enough though that like if you shoot a deer of a lifetime and it goes over there, like can't get him?
No, because I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That Nipsey buck I shot
died on his.
Yeah. Died on his.
You contacted him and just said, he said,
in a blizzard. Yeah. Well, it was just my uncle and I up there. I hit him probably a half hour before dark. I went out. I saw blood instantly, so I went back to the house, got my uncle. We came back, and we tracked him probably like 100, 120 yards. And he went down this hill into the ravine, and once he gets down into the ravine, like the property line's not that far away.
Mm-hmm.
And we were literally tracking in a blizzard. Like
I watched that video. It's
you
crazy.
Couldn't see 10 yards in front of you, and all of a sudden we're tracking, and like we get to a logging road, and I'm like, because I knew where we were at, but I didn't know, I didn't have my Onyx going or anything like that. I'm like, oh no. And so we're like looking at each other.
Like, we know what this means.
I'm like, dude, this is not going to be good. And it was during a particular year, a couple years ago, where for whatever reason, like the animosity was high.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was nothing else we could do. We went out, drove the side by side all the way back out, got in the truck, drove up the road,
knocked on the door in full camo. He let us in, and he just like, he kind of let us in the door,
he's got like a desk sitting right there, and he went back and he just sat on his chair like this. And he knew
what you were there to ask.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey man, I shot a nice buck tonight, and we have good blood up until the property line. Like we're not going into like search. Like we're just going into track. Like I'm pretty sure the deer's not going to be very far. He's like, I didn't hear any shots. It was during rifle season. I'm like, yeah, I shot him with my bow. And I get like the look on his face was like, you did what?
Yeah.
And so he's like,
so he just does he not get that?
Older gentleman?
Yeah,
is it an age thing?
He's probably in his got to be low 60s,
okay.
upper 50s,
Yeah.
low 60s. No, I mean you can crossbow hunt the last 2 weeks of bow season up in New York now, and he'll take the crossbow, which whatever. But like he's gonna hunt with the best weapon that
Sure.
you have available, which I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just that afternoon I wanted to take my bow, so I did.
But he didn't get that though.
No, he didn't get that. Like he did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
Like why that?
You
why
did
were you?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he said, I didn't hear a shot. I'm like, you weren't gonna.
Yeah.
But then he was like, because at this time, I knew I hit the deer. I thought I hit him a little bit. I did hit him a little bit far forward, but when I hit him, I saw blood instantly.
Mhm.
And then when I walked out there, I confirmed that. And the track, like when he got across the creek, we were like wiping snow away, and there was blood everywhere. Yeah. And so like, but you haven't put your hands on the deer yet, so there's all these questions are going through your head. Well, we're sitting there, and he's trying to pry a little bit and figure out what deer it was, and I'm like,
It's pretty cordial at this point.
yeah, no, yeah, it was honestly, it was super cordial. And I was like, big mainframe 10, really tall, brows, heavy. And he's like, are you sure? Like, it wasn't like there was another like big 10 on our, like that was kind of cruising around that year, a little bit spindly or whatever. And he was trying to like make it that it was the other deer. I'm like, no, it's the one you're thinking of. And he's like, man, I had that deer on opening day come up behind me and lay down. And he's like, he laid down within 50 yards of me of opening day of rifle season. And he's like, he finally got up. And when he got up, he was sitting in a blind. He's like, I put my gun out the blind, got a good rest, went to shoot, and it was just like click. And he's like, I had just grabbed a new, like he's got all this ammo or whatever. He's like, I just grabbed a new box of Winchester something,
whatever,
off the shelf. He's like, I racked another one. He was still standing there, click. And he's like, I had one more, and I racked that in there. And at this point, he's like, all of the shells ejecting and rattling in the blind, like got his attention.
Mhm.
And the deer was like very alert, and he settled himself down, and he shot again, and he misfired 3 different bullets.
Oh my god.
This was his story. I mean, but when he told me that, I'm like, I killed this deer. Like, I don't know. I was meant to kill this deer for some reason. Like,
yeah.
he's telling me that. I know what just happened.
I killed this deer.
I killed this deer. And so he's like, yeah, go ahead. As long as, me and my kids can have the same respect,
Right. Yeah.
if it happens to us, I'm like, yeah, as long as you communicate with us and come down and ask whatever, I'm like, you can come with us if you want to. And he's like, no, I'm good. So we went back in there, and the deer was literally 30 yards.
See, that seems like a pretty
It seemed, like he didn't.
pretty cool
There's
conversation.
no more we know after that.
No, that's what I didn't understand. I thought at that, I
That
literally
felt like a healing moment.
exactly what I thought. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
I was even telling Dean, I'm like, dude, we're good now. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
Except when I texted him, like, we got the deer, celebrated a little, whatever, got him out all the way out back to camp. And I texted him, I'm like, hey, thanks so much. Like, I just wanted to let you know, like, we literally only went 30 yards. We found him. I'm like, would love to bring him up in the morning and let you check him out. And he texted me back. He's like, I don't need to see him. And I'm like, maybe we're not good. I don't know. Like, if it was me, the deer's dead. Like, what's the difference at that point, you know? Celebrate it a little bit.
Yeah.
It was something that you chased. It was something that we chased, something that other people were probably chasing too. And
do you think it's beef? Like, do you think that there's beef just in general because he's a hunter and he wants all the deer for himself? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
That's the general consensus. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well,
I think it's just
that's something
Just
you can't really heal.
competition thing.
Yeah.
That's like a personal thing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's all, I mean, because it's not just us that he treats this way.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the other neighbors that are kind of in cahoots with us now and doing the same thing. And he just, I think for a while, like, he felt like he was the big buck guy in that small town.
Yeah.
You know, he planted corn and he did the food plot thing, and he was like, he killed big deer. I mean, he's killed a lot of good deer too, and he still can. We all can, you know.
Has he had to need the same privilege to come on your property?
Not that we know of.
Okay.
Not that we know of. So,
300 acres, 180 acres. It's a really big amount of land.
Chunk.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid chunk. I mean,
but it does happen. It happened to me this year. Like, I have I don't have a super similar story, but like, I have neighbors that are like, quote unquote, contentious in ways, and there's things that you can and can't do to, like you said, I guess, heal those processes.
Yeah.
Like the relationship. And sometimes it's completely out of your hands, and there's really no rule book for any of that.
No, I know.
And I'm the kind of guy, like, I want to be friends with everybody.
Me too.
And it, like, I sit at night on nights where I probably should be in bed, and, like, completely dead asleep, but I'm sitting there just in my mind thinking about how desperately I would love to have a relationship with somebody that has bad feelings towards me, and it keeps me up.
Yeah, I can relate to those feelings.
But there's nothing you can do.
Literally.
Sometimes it's literally a personal thing. It's a them problem, not a you problem.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's probably all of the time, realistically.
Yeah.
I think
especially when you've reached out and like tried to be the bigger person and have the healing conversation. Like, if it's not reciprocated, like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
I think a lot of people have, like, specifically to hunters, like, knowing your neighbors is a really big deal.
Oh, for sure it is.
And I think there's like a lot of situations that occur in a hunter's lifetime with neighbors, and like, I just feel like there's a lot of people that have similar stories or questions of how to deal with certain ethical issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how to deal with this specific situation, because there's no two that are the same.
No.
It seems like the neighbor thing has mattered more recently than it ever used to.
It's
because it's like everybody's protective over it's mine, me.
The deer, yeah.
But it used to be like, oh yeah, that's Bob's property. Just go over there and get your deer. Like, it never. That's how it used to be. Like, sure, just head over there.
Jimmy's cool.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
We'll see him at church.
Oh, hey, go! You want to go? You want to go walk behind the barn and push out that thicket back there? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how it used to be.
Shoot them all.
Well,
that's why the hunt camp has died. Yeah, is because the whitetail world has got possessive
over the big
deer.
buck stuff. Yeah,
and it's
so protective.
When you think about it, like, when we were younger, you went into the woods. Most of everything was unknown outside of like previous encounters.
Oh yeah.
What did you know?
It's
like,
so
you were sitting there and literally, like, over the ridge, you couldn't see over the ridge, but you were like,
that's a mystery over there.
There could be a freaking giant over there.
Right there.
Right over there.
Yeah.
Or you hear the leaves crunching and you're just like, I wonder what it is. You know,
gotta be a monster.
Right. But now with trail cameras and stuff,
there's not a
lot of unknown.
So
think about that.
When I started, the property I grew up hunting that my parents owned, we call it the Crickwoods. So my grandpa called it because he used to hunt it. It was in the family a long time ago. And when I started bow hunting, like I have this note section in my phone called the Crickwoods Buck Notes. And this was like long before I ever started running trail cameras or anything. Like if I had an encounter in the woods, whether it was like a missed deer or a crazy encounter that didn't result in the deer, or it was a deer I killed, like I documented that date and those conditions and what I was thinking and why I was thinking it. And then like every year I would go like, oh man, I was in that stand under that wind condition on that date. And I had this encounter. Like that's how I learned a lot of that property, was by just documenting the crazy encounters I had and then trying to find some sort of pattern to be like, I need to be in that stand under these conditions this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
and there was logic
that
to
was
that.
way before I had ever even ran a trail camera.
Dev did. He still does. He'll call and be like, "You won't believe what just happened today." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I just got a picture of this deer," and I'm like, "Cool. Like, what about? Like, what about?" He's like, "Well, 3 years ago on this date, I had one of the like I have notes right here in the Crickwoods notes. That means something." He's I'm like, "I think it does. You ought to go hunting.
Get back in there.
Go hunt him.
Get back in there."
But I hate that. I hate that. Like there's a part of me that romanticizes the idea of just not running trail cameras at all this year. Like just leave them in the garage. I don't even give a shit. I want to go out there and just see what's out there. I don't know if I like the hunting a deer thing.
I've learned that I don't love to build, and this is where Dean and I are different, because he will build a relationship with a deer.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't love that.
Yeah.
Because then you get.
I like the challenge of trying to get like the dupe on like a deer. I think that's, but I don't love like, oh, I got a trail camera picture of him. Here's another video. There's 1,500 documented photos and videos of this deer. I know his every move, and I don't know. There's something about it. Like when it's done, it's like almost anticlimactic.
100%. And you hear guys like Don Higgins talk about it. Like he's at a point in his hunting career that he said like it's almost more disappointing than it is exciting when he shoots the deer.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get there.
No, exactly.
Like, and I see these guys that are in like co-ops with all of their surrounding neighbors, and it's like, oh, I was going to hunt tonight. Conditions are perfect, but Bobby up the road had him on camera this morning. That's 2 miles away.
He's not there.
I'm not going hunting tonight. He's not there. And I was like, that doesn't sound
what you're
enticing to me
basically
at all.
saying, if you're hunting a deer, you're setting yourself up for a pretty good heartbreak. It's like dating your high school sweetheart, and then she rips your heart out.
No, what I'm saying is like hunting a deer and hunting are like almost two different sports.
Oh, completely agree.
Like I like hunting.
Completely agree.
Yeah. And the problem is like I've been infected by that as well in the last couple of years. Like tried to hunt specific deer, and like I'm patterning this deer. I really think I might have a chance to kill this deer today or this year.
You know what's funny is like
I don't want to do that. I don't think.
I don't really relate to that. I don't really have that past. Like there's like the Holy Spirit buck is the only buck that I knew of. Like that I was like, that's the deer. But like
dude,
but you saw him first, and then
that whole
set
story
up on him.
Yeah,
I mean that's.
I know, but he but just walked up to the barn and got in the freezer.
But I'm saying I'm not a one buck hunter. I don't think I ever have been. I just haven't had I don't know if that's a luxury or not, but
no, but that's a good thing. I like that is a good thing, because it's ruined seasons for me. Like, and even like in our early days after we bought the house that we call Camp Cutlet, we had this buck that we nicknamed Don, and he was a 13 point, and he had both of his beams kind of like, actually no, one of his beams like drooped, and then on the other side he had like a 3-inch drop tine. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this deer, perfect symmetrical 10 point otherwise, and he's got 2 brow tines that literally like go straight up and then like bull hook, and just awesome deer. We saw him the year before, actually 2 years before, then the year after, and it was like, oh, like let's pass this deer, and then his 4-year-old year he just like blew up. Mm-hmm. Well, everyone around knew about the deer, and it created like this weird stress almost, because you were kind of partially worried about if anybody else shot him, but then like you were trying to make decisions of where to hunt to try and go get them.
Yeah.
But then like even in and amongst like our hunt camp, and it never got competitive like with Dean or I or my dad or anything like that. But like there was just a weird tension that was like completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Do you
And
think
we-
that tension is good for some people and not others?
Probably.
You do?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it might be good for some people, but I think in the end result, like at the end of the day, it's just like it's another deer. It's another one of God's renewable resources. Like, and we're infatuated because of what's on his head. That's the only reason.
I guess my question, let me phrase, do you think that style of hunting where it's like there's a 200-inch deer in the neighborhood, everybody knows about it, and you're like set on that deer or no other deer, do you think that mentality for hunters is overall more positive or more negative to the hunting community and moving it forward?
Way like all the way on the spectrum of
Really?
negative. Absolutely.
What about you, Dev?
I agree.
Because that nobody new is getting into the sport that way. Nobody. Who's getting introduced into the sport and now all of a sudden, like in that area, okay, there's a new hunter, they shoot a spike. Well, now everybody else is looking down at that, whatever, 14-year-old kid because he just shot a spike and he didn't hold out for this 200-inch deer that these guys that got 30 years of experience are holding out for.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing, you know, if you've been there, done that, and you set you set the bar high and you're okay with just eating a tag and that's like what you want to pursue. But
So on that same tangent then, do you think that like antler point restrictions are positive?
I don't really think so.
You don't?
I mean, because
Because what you just said, the
Ultimately-
example with the kid shooting a spike.
he's not going to get that opportunity if there's antler restrictions.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, I don't think, because if you've been in the woods long enough, you know, like you could have a 6-point that's 8 years old. You
Yeah.
know, the ultimately the antler restrictions are to grow deer bigger, which in order to grow them bigger, they just need to be older.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it too. Like maybe more effective is a 1 buck rule instead of a 2 buck rule.
Yeah.
Than an antler point restriction for that reason. Like you could have a 8-year-old deer that's a 5-point.
Yeah.
Right.
Like interesting. But I think I kind of lost my train of thought there. We were talking about somebody jumped back in. We were talking about, you guys gave me a train of thought and I lost it, but
Well, I was just thinking like this last year, we learned a ton about Michigan because we went to that one.
yeah.
Like there's a ton of people that think, you think about unconstitutional, right? When you say unconstitutional, you think like it's my God-given right to do blank. There's a lot of people that look at putting an APR on deer. Like, how can the state of Michigan tell me what deer I can and cannot shoot?
I agree with that.
Isn't that interesting? I never
Well-
thought about it like that until we were sitting there into the comment period. Because
Well-
I was kind of like more in favor of like, hey, let's do something.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
let's do something
Yeah,
to get
try and
more
help.
age
Yeah.
class. Because everybody, makes fun of Michigan, and I don't make fun of Michigan, but I do think that we could be doing different things to achieve
We have the potential to have
bigger bucks,
giant
quote
bucks,
unquote.
yeah.
Like everybody,
I think New York is the same way because it's a very like as a rifle hunter, which a majority of the hunting license sold are going to be sold to rifle hunters. The tag that you get is a buck only tag.
Mhm.
As an archery hunter, the tag that you get to start with is an either sex tag. Why would you not, like the guys that are just going up to fill their freezer, why would you not allow a rifle hunter to have an either sex tag and have them shoot a doe to fill their freezer?
Yeah.
Like that little thing right there would change a lot more than people would give it credit for.
Yeah.
Because the first 4-point that walks by, they're going to shoot, as opposed to, well, I can shoot a doe, or maybe I can hold out a little bit for something a little bit bigger. But if I'm filling my freezer, like I feel like most people, if you're going to go and just fill the freezer, like you're going to shoot a doe.
you know what I think about a lot is like you think about hunting. I don't know what else to call it other than a sport. It's a lifestyle. I hate when people call it a sport,
Me
but
too.
like when you look at it in the big ball of wax, we're not like
not a
Native
sport.
Americans that are relying on.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that do, and my family does. Like we use a lot of the meat every year. We have like that's what we survive
Right,
off of.
right.
But it's not like we can't go to the store, right?
Right.
Again, I'm not justifying anything. So I'm just saying, like when I'm looking at Native American life back in the day, like they truly
It was that or that, not or
like that was the dinner bell.
right.
That was
so the antlers didn't matter. Like you're hunting.
so my point is like I'm wondering, other than okay, maybe a doe or a fawn or a younger animal is more tender. Other than that thought process, I wonder if antlers ever played
A role.
a role at all,
I think they did a little when you look at like the status of a man in his tribe.
like the maturity.
Like
of
I
the
feel like
animal.
you see like, you know, the big man on campus or the leader of the tribe killed the biggest buck and that was hanging above his tent or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it was somehow correlated to the status or the
Oh, I'm sure it
to
was.
manhood,
You
right?
think?
Yeah, I mean, at least it's portrayed that way in certain videos and literature and stuff. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But back, I got my train of thought back to the question that you asked Dave about. Do you think a guy or somebody chasing a 200-inch deer is overall net good or net bad for the sport?
Yeah.
I just like along the lines of what we were talking about with it being like we've arrived at this place where hunter recruitment's at an all-time low, and like basically I think people are so protective over the deer now, like we said, but it's like the same guy that's said it's this buck or nah, I don't care about hunting any other deer than this deer, is the same guy that's telling the 8-year-old or whoever, don't shoot that spike.
Exactly.
So it's like, how are you going to say this is the deer, this is the only deer I'm shooting, and this deer is mine, but all those other deer, like don't shoot that 4-point either. This deer's mine, but don't shoot that 4-point. Like, how are you ever going to get anybody into hunting that way?
It's funny.
Why would anybody
well,
hunt?
it's not funny, but like the group that we grew up hunting with used to be far bigger than it is now.
Really?
And to some degree we're at fault for that.
Yeah.
Because like the management and the kind of guidelines that we put for ourselves on our property that may not be the same for somebody else has maybe like drifted them away, or like even to some degree, like, you know, we just want less people and less pressure on certain parts of the land. So it's like, it's so weird for me to think about, because I'm like, man,
Did we go wrong?
I love all this stuff, but yeah, we are contributing to this, like
To the problem.
I want more hunters,
Yeah.
and I want more people to feel how we feel about all this.
There's like this known correlation now that like how serious you take hunting is shown by how big of deer you shoot. Right? Like a guy that shoots a 4-point every year, he can't be a serious hunter.
Right. No.
Like if you're shooting one and a half year old deer every year, like you're not a serious hunter. Why is that the notion?
Right.
But at the same time, like as a goal-oriented, driven person who like wants to do better in everything I've ever done, like it becomes like, well, I did this, and there's generally a increased level of difficulty with killing an older age class deer, so I want to continue to grow in the sport. But like then where it becomes protective and you start, I guess, judging or looking at other, like I think the issue is the correlation between you're not a serious hunter unless you're chasing big deer.
Yeah.
Like that narrative is a problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I was listening to a podcast like last week, and the one guy was like, they were talking about like killing big deer and doing it, you know, on a relatively, they were kind of talking about this status.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you're not a good hunter unless you're doing that. And this guy, like his comments were like eye gouging to me. He's like, I won't listen to anybody that, you know, if you killed like maybe 1 or 2 170s, like I ain't even gonna listen to you. I'm not listening to you unless you do it every year. And I'm like, dude,
You're like, what are we even talking
how
about?
ignorant is that? Like, you have to have no friends. Like you have to have no friends. Your wife probably doesn't love you like you should.
Doesn't
Yeah.
see you.
This is all you care about.
Yeah.
And you are shutting everybody else out of your life because of it.
See, like that activity is a different activity that I'm interested in participating in.
I
Like
completely.
what he's going out and doing and calling hunting is the opposite.
But there's no hunt camp in his world.
No.
His trophy room
Just
and
a
his hunt
selfish
camp
deal.
is him and him only. That's it.
Yeah, and everybody
like-
else is just collateral damage.
I mean, it's cool to shoot big deer. I've been fortunate enough to shoot a few, but like I also can look at every one of them on my wall and be like, man, Dean and my dad were with me when we recovered that one. Like Uncle Jay was with me when I recovered that one. That was insane because we had to go knock on the neighbor's door to recover that. There's a story with all of them. It's not like, oh yeah, I had to I did it all by myself, you know?
Can we go back and unpack something that we talked about? Where we were joking like, oh, that's old Jimmy's property. Just go over there and
Yeah.
Can we go back to that for a second?
Yeah.
So like what do you think? Like, what do you think changed? Because I'm gonna say a couple things. Because now there's like leasing of property,
Mm-hmm.
right, across the country.
Yeah.
And anybody, I mean, for a baseline, like overseas, I would say people look at the United States as like we have something so special. Like you can just go hunting. You know what I mean? Overseas in Europe, it's like a rich man's game. In Germany, like it's the ultimate rich people that get this privilege to go out and hunt. Mm-hmm. It's like it's a status thing.
Yeah,
it's a huge status thing. So here we are, 1925 to 1960. Like hunting wasn't a big like thing, really. In terms of like the industry, it wasn't like this big industry, but we had millions of hunters in Michigan. Millions of hunters in New York.
Oh, for sure.
Millions of hunters in Wisconsin.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Like, and now here we are. It's like, I feel a little guilty just thinking about like, I bought a property. I bought 70 acres and I'm like, this is mine.
Yeah.
I paid $12,000 in taxes a year so I can do this. But what am I doing to contribute to the hunter recruitment? What am I doing to help mentor somebody? What am I doing to like, you know what I mean? But it's like this thing that is really hard to talk about. I feel like, especially for our generation, it's like, what is it that you guys think has changed from then to now?
What's interesting when you said that is, so let's say in Michigan, for example, when our grandpas were our age, we had literally double the amount of registered hunters.
Like actually 1 million and 2 million or something
in one state.
One state.
That's crazy.
So
now we're down to like 500, like less than half.
500,000 or 600,000. Yeah. So, but that was at the time that we're joking about. We're like, yeah, that's Bill's property. We go to church with. Just go over there and go hunting. Like that was when that was the thing. So now in a time where we have half as many hunters in the field, there's nowhere to go hunting. And everybody's protective over their property. And there is no more like, yeah, I know him, so I just go out there and hunt. Well, do you have a written permission slip? Well, no, but we know Bill. Did you ask him? No, we know him. We see him at church. And so it's just interesting to me that when there were twice as many hunters, everybody had a place to go hunt. And now there's half as many hunters. And a big contributor to why, like you hear this on all of the podcasts, the big contributor to why all of the hunter numbers are down is a lack of opportunity to go hunt.
I think like outdoor, unfortunately, I think outdoor TV contributed a lot to it.
Yeah.
Because you watch all these guys on TV and it's the top 1% and it's an unrealistic version of what hunting actually is because they're on a place that is specifically managed for growing big deer to hunt. Yeah. But it also costs a lot of money to go experience something like that. But people all saw that as like a quote unquote reality, and they wanted to create it themselves. And now, like you said, you got that 70 acres, and it's like,
Get
I don't
off.
know, post this, post that, post, make sure everybody knows that this is not theirs.
mine.
And, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because you worked hard for that land, and you pay taxes on that land, and you're a steward to that land, and
Yeah.
like that, there's something to be said for that, for sure. But the infatuation with that big deer
Mhm.
has put the gates up around, hunt camps. And I remember growing up in New York, opening day it was shotgun season then, on our street, on that 4-mile road, like there would be trucks lined up that road. There ain't a vehicle there anymore. Nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing. And I mean, you drive around and you see fields and box blinds and stuff like that. And so there's people that are hunting, but I mean, you'd come out and there'd be 10 guys hanging out by 4 different trucks. They just got done pushing a chunk of woods,
yeah.
and they're all just hanging out by the truck and having lunch and whatever.
Yeah.
And you cruise by and say what's up, you get anything, and maybe there's a couple fork points in the back of the truck. And
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys a story that's kind of along the same line? Like my grandpa Hicks, so my dad's dad, he's a big part of my dad's upbringing in terms of the outdoors, and as well as me. And he was kind of known, like, on the property down the road. He had like a 40-acre farm, apple orchard, but not much hunting ground. It was all kind of open fields, and no real place to hunt really. But anyway, down the road, guy from church had 100 acres, still there today. He's still alive. That's where I grew up hunting. And my grandpa was known as like the coordinator of this property. And my dad would tell me all the time, like, people would come up in church and be like, hey, I'd like to go hunting. And he'd like, go talk to Wayne Hicks. He'll get you straightened out. He kind of manages the place. Like, okay. And like, they'd take people hunting all the time. My dad he could tell me tons of stories about different people that they brought hunting at one point in time.
Yeah.
And, just like funny stories about whatever. And where was I going with this? Oh, my grandpa was like, he was just like this really outgoing dude who just would bring people all the time. And I remember like when we were growing up, it felt like that was the norm of like, it was like a group of thing. It was a group event. Everybody
it was
went.
a group thing.
And it was always like this camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like every time.
And it didn't matter who shot something.
It literally didn't matter.
It was a success for the whole group.
We got a deer. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Instead of like,
open the tailgate and let's go to lunch.
I remember the story I was going to tell. There's a specific story. So like my grandpa's biggest buck, it kind of has to do with this topic we're on, but like literally they go to church. The stories that always started with my grandpa was like, they would go hunting in the morning, they'd put their hunting clothes underneath their orange, and then they'd basically get out and take their orange off, go to church. They go to church hunting. So they hunted that morning. All the boys go. My
church
dad,
clothes are underneath the hunting clothes.
Yep, but they've already went to church, so they're going to church, but they got
Oh.
all the hunting clothes in the van.
Got it.
So they're going back home, and my dad is the oldest of 3 boys. So 3 boys coming back from church. Big buck crosses the road in front of them. So like, holy cow, we're gonna go drop mom off and come back here, and it's snowing. So my grandpa drops off 2 of the middle boys. He takes the younger boy with him. So they're split up 2 and 2. And my dad and my Uncle Greg, they're following these tracks in the snow. Random people's property. Just random farm. Yeah, they just saw the buck here. Follow that.
Saw a buck.
They go up the road 1.5 miles. They show me this field every time we drive by. They're, oh, it's that field. They go up, park in the field, out the big open cornfield, out of the timber, and my dad and my uncle kick this buck up. My grandpa, they can just hear the shot way ahead. And they, boom. And they said they come out of the woods, and there's the biggest buck they'd ever seen. My grandpa shot it in the field because they bumped it out.
on some random property.
Some random person's farm.
Yeah.
But like, they knew so and so, but they didn't. It's not like they asked. It's not
Right.
like it was just like
They were going to ask for
was just
forgiveness
like, yeah.
instead of permission.
Like, well, Rick, I'm pretty sure Rick knows them from Bible study or, like something like,
it's exactly like
I
that.
don't know him, but I know somebody who I think might know him, so let's just go hunting.
And so that specific rack, I call it the standard just for fun. Like, it's not really much of a standard, but like it's a really good, like 130-inch buck. And it's in my kid's room right now.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
like every time I think of that story, I'm just like,
that could
Times
never.
are so
just-
different.
that
just
could-
totally
if-
random.
Like think about if
Go to
that-
jail.
Think about that scenario right
poaching.
now.
It's poaching.
Oh, and not to mention, how many trail cameras are you walking past
Oh
while
my
you're trying to track that?
gosh.
Like the two people that are tracking that deer, how many trail cameras are you walking
Dude,
past?
that's another story.
What?
Nate and I were walking a 100-acre piece that's for sale in our hometown. It's it's about 100
Don't give
acres.
too much details
Yeah,
on this,
yeah.
but just tell
Yeah,
the story.
There's 100 acres near our hometown that's for sale, and we're like, we look at it on X first, and we got a pretty good idea how it lays out, and we get over to a section of the property that very clearly is like we'd maybe walk 2/3 of the property, and what we still had not gone into was the last third of this 90 some acres, and like all of a sudden, like the line we got to into this last third, it was like, man, this third of the property is very clearly being like groomed and managed, and there's
Hunted.
tree stands everywhere, there's box blinds, like just walked past 2 trail cameras, and I'm like, what's going on? Because like the realtor told us nobody's hunting this.
Nobody's been out here for years or whatever.
But like this third of the property, like
All the way
it
in
was
the back.
very clearly
We're like,
what's going on?
are we on the right property? Are we like we're checking the the map system? We're like, no, this is the property. Like,
And we just it's the property, so we just walked right through it, into it. And then like it became very apparent that like, oh, it's this guy. Like it was very clear that the trails and all the stuff were just extending out of this other person's property
Wow.
into this. But consuming about a third of this property, and we were like,
a third of 90 acres. Some odd
so like
acres.
some guys using an extra 30 that just touches his.
Yeah, no, nobody hunts it anyway, so I'm just gonna use it.
But
And we
but
were
to
like-
the point of the conversation.
But to the point where but there's cell cams firing off, and I'm like, dude, like we need to go whip around and talk to this guy, and at least just like we're not gonna accuse him of anything, but we'll like
We're
maybe
trying
he
to
does have
buy this,
permission.
maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
he does have permission. I don't know. What I want him to know is like we're not trespassing. We have
we're here looking at
because it's in our little hometown, and we're wearing our Painted Arrow gear
Yeah.
on trail camera, so we're
Right.
like.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like if this gets
We're
posted,
pinging off
like
trail cameras like it's
somebody's firing
fireworks, dude. On the 4th
Like I'm
of
just
July.
picturing Nate and Deb from Painted Arrow on Facebook. Like, anybody know these guys? Like, so I'm like, this isn't good. So we need to go talk to this guy, and we whip in the driveway and talk to this guy. And
Well, I wanted to say one thing. Like Dev has these like like these good ideas every once in a while, and in the moment I was like, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to go talk to these guys.
Yeah.
And then
so we whip into this driveway because I'm like, come on, let's just do it. And we whip in, and we're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't both go up to their door. Like one, so he gets out, he goes out and knocks on this lady.
Draw straws.
Yeah. He goes up and knocks on this lady's door, or this door, and some time goes by before she comes to the door, and this lady comes to the door, and she's on the phone
Already.
or no, she had binoculars in her hand, and
yeah.
and Nate's like,
Let me say this. I answered the door. I drew the short stick. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, my name's Nate, and we're looking at the property behind you, and we stepped in front of some trail cameras, and I didn't know if they were yours or not. And she's got the binoculars. She's like, "Oh, that was you," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Oh yeah, my husband's out back right now. He's looking for you guys." And
he
I'm
blew
like,
out the back door looking for you guys, and we were like, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. So I'm glad we
and in that moment, I'm like, "Dev's a genius. Like, we needed to do this."
we were going to be on Facebook in like 30 minutes. But she calls him, and he like comes huffing and puffing up to and he was
This weirdest thing I've ever experienced.
he was nice enough, but you can tell like
He was kind of.
he
pissed.
was worked up and pissed.
He was cussing all the way back there.
And
Guarantee.
until
for
we
sure.
until we like he he had to match our energy, and we were there with nothing but good vibes. So it was like he isn't going to yell at us,
Right.
Because we were there to tell him. And we were like, "Well, are you aware that the property behind you is for sale?" Because we called the realtor,
Like,
had
we're in the
permission
right.
to walk
Right.
it.
Like, we're
Like
just
we were very clearly on the
Yeah,
property that's for
everything's marked,
sale,
yeah.
and saw some trail cameras. Weren't sure if they were yours, and just out of courtesy wanted to come talk to you. And he's like, "Oh yeah, well we know those guys, and they let us hunt, and it was just kind of shady." But I was like,
He was taking advantage.
he was
of the,
very, very like he was ready to tear our heads off if he had gotten out to us before we came around to his house.
yeah. If he would
Like,
have
he
met
was
you in the
boiling.
woods, it probably would have.
and I'm thinking like, what's that interaction going to be like? I'm almost wishing that would have happened. Like, is this your property? Like,
Yeah. Like,
yeah, well, we can
just
look on
talked to-
Onyx right here, and it
Yeah, we
kind of
just
looks
talked to
like
the
we're
re-
on the right side of the
we're
fence.
like in the middle of the property.
Yeah.
Like,
So before we whipped around to their house, though, we finished walking the rest of the property, and there's like very clearly another section of the property that like 4 or 5 acres of it, very clearly on the property that we're walking, is like fenced off and being mowed by one of the other neighbors.
like 10 acres, like actually 10 acres, or maybe like 5.
It was like 4 or 5.
5.
But they just like extended their yard into it, fence around it. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, are they splitting off pieces and this shit's not updated, or like, what is going on? And we like called the realtor, like, dude, this is a train wreck
Somebody
out here.
needs to get this together.
Like, you guys
yeah.
need to do a survey and get this shit tight before you're ever going to sell this,
Yeah.
because everybody's just getting a piece right now and nobody knows who owns what.
And the
But-
next person that walks this might get their head chopped off
Seriously.
by the neighbor.
I mean,
back.
that guy was, you could tell like the energy that he was toning himself down from
Yeah.
when he made it up into the driveway was like he was,
like, yeah. He
well, but
didn't-
I mean, you can imagine if he's got all that set up back there. It wasn't like the first year.
no,
Like
dude,
no, he's
they've
been
been
on it.
doing
Plots.
this for a long time. So he's already adopted that 30 acres. That's already
food
his.
plots, shooting lanes, cell cams,
Right.
everywhere,
Cutting
dialed.
trees down and stuff. Yeah,
And
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
I was so glad we went and talked to him, because again, like it was like it turns out I knew who the guy was after he introduced himself,
Yeah,
like knew of him. And again, I'm like, dude, Nate and Deb with full painted arrow gear on would have been on a Facebook page. Who are these trespassers? Anybody know them? Like, I know it.
and here's the thing: like people see that stuff, but in your guys' scenario, you guys weren't in the wrong at all. And
We
this guy
called, got
guy that's posted that would be posting that stuff.
I know.
That's why you see some of that stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, what's the story behind this actually?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is this actually a trespasser, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's how many times, like how often does that scenario happen?
Yeah. And I mean, and I don't know his situation. Like, maybe he really does have
Permission.
I'm sure.
Sure.
Maybe he does. I'm just going to assume he does.
Right.
But like in that instance, it's not even like he doesn't own the property.
and you guys,
Whether he has
weren't in the
permission or
wrong.
not, whether
Right.
he has permission or not, he doesn't own the property.
Right.
We called, got permission from the realtor to go walk this thing, and like, had we handled it differently, we would have gotten our heads torn off. I'm just like,
probably had a pistol on his hip or something.
like it was yeah, it was interesting. But again, like just so protected, mine, and it's not
Protected.
even his,
and
it's for sale.
right.
Like,
And it's just two humans walking
Right.
around. Like it's like, and
in
that's
in January,
right. In that
late January, like
that's where that like people, and I get,
might have been February.
keeping your scent concealed, keeping yourself concealed, like maybe preserving parts of your property where the deer can feel safe. But at the end of the day, like these deer interact with people too all the
Mhm.
time. They interact with, like, there's coyotes around, there's different smells and all this stuff around. So like walking through the woods is not going to just make it the forbidden fruit of the whitetail world.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like some people get so particular on that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, once again, I get it, keeping a little part of the property a sanctuary and stuff like that. But to your point with your grandpa, like, nah, that deer, his track go that way. We're going that way.
There's a deer. Let's go kill him.
We're going that
Like,
way.
And
Yeah.
and honestly, it should be that simple. Looks like there's a deer here. Let's go hunt him.
Yeah. I think there's a happy medium with everything, because like I'm really into reading about the out west stuff,
Yeah.
and it's really crowded out there too.
It's getting more crowded. Yeah.
And there's like a happy medium to all this, and I feel like we all have to look at this as like, here's the pie.
Yeah.
Like, this is the pie. And rather than like we have to figure out how to all be able to use this pie.
Right.
Like,
at the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same thing.
Yeah. And it's like, when I say the pie, I'm specifically talking about the land. Like,
Right.
we can't grow the land, but we can grow the resource.
Sure.
And that's the way that I've chosen to look at it. And I think a lot of people look at it. It's like, look, what can we do? What can we do to make more turkeys?
Right.
What can we do to make more habitat?
Yeah.
Right.
How can we protect the habitat that we do have? How can we not put in 50,000 acres of solar fields?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to get into a totally separate,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but I'm
But
just
yeah,
saying,
how
like,
can we
that's
keep
how I like to
it-
look at it. And I think there's a happy medium of like, look, here's the pie. Let's figure out how to make this all work. And I
Yeah.
think it's possible.
Dave posed an interesting perspective earlier today when we were chatting that I really hadn't considered, but I'm starting to like think more and more about it, and I think it's super valid. And you said you heard it on maybe Meat Eater or something, but so the example of our grandpas when they were our age, twice as many hunters, right? The question is, how many of those hunters got their license for opening weekend, and that was hunting for the year. You hunt for a day or two, you get something, maybe you don't, and hunting next year. I feel like although registered hunters numbers are down to half of what they used to be, I'd be interested to understand if like the net time on stand, like that the woods would see from hunters is way up. Meaning, I think there's maybe way more diehard, serious hunters than there ever used to be. Guys that are just spending a lot of days in the field. So in terms of the pressure that the woods is feeling, it may be up or the same that it ever used to be, but that's just happening from half as many hunters, which in turn is probably the reason why there's half as many hunters, because there's guys that are taking it 3 times as serious as it used to be taken, or something like that. That was it just very interesting to think about it that way.
You know what I think about sometimes too is from, let's just call it 1950 to 2025, like I was talking about the piece of the pie, land is subdivided at a staggering rate.
Yeah.
Like every year, land is divided and divided. Like every day.
It's getting
So then-
chopped up into smaller and smaller pieces.
So that does something too
For sure.
of the private land.
Yeah, because it's like if you had 2 or 3 people hunting on a 100-acre parcel, but now that 100-acre parcel is 5 20s.
Yeah, and there's 3 people hunting
And there's
each 20.
3 people hunting each 20. It's like,
Yeah.
well, shoot.
That's a lot
That
more
pressure is
people.
way more localized.
But
Yes.
I guess numbers say otherwise.
How
Right?
so?
We don't have as many hunters.
Yeah, I think it is crazy to me because you would think that with less hunters that would equate to like an abundance of deer or turkey or whatever animal you're hunting. And I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, like you said in Michigan, you know, they're trying to figure out ways to like get the deer bigger, or more of them, or whatever the motive is.
There's definitely a group of people looking for that. Yeah.
But it's the same way in Ohio too. Like, you know, the issue here is the out of state outfitters and stuff like that all have a ton of money coming in and either buying or leasing this land and then releasing it for like unfathomable amount of money for, you know, for the blue collar American,
Yeah.
you know, weekend warrior hunter. They can't cough up 10 grand for a lease, you know, just to hunt every year.
The leasing thing scares me because when I don't know as much about overseas hunting as I do about the United States, but I know enough to know that it's a rich man's game over there.
Right.
I know enough to know that. And everything that you see about leasing, about tag sales for like out west hunting, like I've been playing the game in Arizona for 7 years now. Play every year. Same
Trying to
thing with Wyoming and Colorado. I'm heavily invested. And you look at point creep and you look at like all the fees and the tags and like what it actually would take to go on a hunt. And then, you gotta be either, you know, accompanied by a registered guide, like all these fees.
Oh yeah.
And you look at it, it's like, okay, well, this is kind of like this is kind of a rich man's game all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Leasing.
Yeah.
Leasing is all of a sudden a rich man's game.
Yeah. Now you need to box blinds and
You used to look at
feeders
hunting, you could wear no camo at all, go out with a box of shells and your grandpa's hand-me-down and get it done.
Yep.
And now it's like this thing, and that scares me.
Yeah.
It really does. Whenever money gets injected into something, it's usually not a good thing. And to me, that leasing game, it scares me a lot.
Well, I think that's why the hunting public, they kind of came on right at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And they kind of awakened a niche of people that were probably starting to get left in the dark.
Yeah.
And that probably contributed a lot to like the out west stuff, because out west, I mean, you're hunting a lot of public land, but it's getting crowded, and people, the people that like the diehards that have been hunting these secluded and very vast areas that are unpopulated for a while are starting to get the doors kind of closed in on them, because like there's the two ends of the spectrum are like getting farther and farther apart from each other.
Yeah.
There's definitely a wave of people that are now like, I'm just going to throw on, like, I don't need any camo. Why do I need to buy a $800 Sitka suit? I'm going to throw on my whatever flannel and some brown pants, and I'm going to go with a stick bow and shoot something. Cause that's what that's what drives me. But there's, like you said, it's one pie, and we all need to figure out our pieces of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. It's not gonna be a pastime, or it's gonna be a pastime that used to exist. That
correct. Does
something
it
that
just doesn't look like something that's super sexy to get into these days.
No.
For like, that's what's like, why would you
unpack that, what you just said there, please?
Like, how are you going to convince a buddy that he should go bow hunting? Unless you're going to say, just come hunt with me.
Yeah.
Like, if you say, hey, you should bow hunt.
They have
where?
no idea what
How?
that means. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the opportunity and the place to go hunt is a huge hurdle for a lot of people. And like, again, let's say hunter numbers were at 1 million people, but the average time in the field was 1 or 2 days a year. Let's say it's 2 days a year for the purpose of this example. So the woods, if the woods is like this being, the woods saw 2 million hunts in that example. Now maybe there's 500,000 hunters, but the average days of hunting per those 500,000, because most of them are diehards, is 5 days a year or 10 days a year.
Right.
Well, now the woods has seen 5 million hunts a year in terms of pressure. It's literally double or triple what it was with twice as many hunters. Just because nobody's just saying, hey, let's go hunting this weekend. You want to go hunting? Go get your tag. I'll take you hunting. Yeah. And I feel like that's what it used to be.
It did.
I almost feel, and we've talked about this, but like an initiative, like every year, it's a responsibility of myself to take someone new hunting one time.
It's pretty basic, really.
It's simple. It's easy.
I've tried to make that a goal the past. And Dean and I talk about this all the time. Like, we started the first handful of years that we hunted, we were just bystanders. Like, we were just we didn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
We were just taking it all in. I think that's actually a more appropriate place to start than to be like, here, you should bow hunt.
Buy this, buy this,
and then go kill this animal.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think our responsibility is allowing people to experience it more than it is, here, go kill this one, and this is how you can be a hunter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's such a like a dramatic thing. Like, you're taking a life, you know? So, and that's not like easy for people that don't hunt to wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's the question of like, okay, And I've had buddies literally like call me from the field when they have shot something and they're like,
What do I do?
what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like they have never experienced
Yeah.
the after
Right.
the
You know,
hunt.
you know how many hunts I went on with my grandpa before I ever took a weapon in the field?
Right. How many deer you watch
Like,
get gutted,
how
how
many-
many
yeah,
dragging
he's
out,
white- he's-
track jobs, all that.
Gutting deer and wiping blood on my face when I'm 6
Right.
years old. Like I went through a lot of that long before I ever,
Right.
painted the fence and he bought me my first shotgun. You know what I mean? Like, and long before that.
And think about like, I don't know, you've seen so many deer get cleaned and gutted before, but it's like to somebody watching that for their first time at like our age, that's kind of like a horrific thing. Now I could
100%.
do that while I'm eating a turkey
Dude,
sandwich. It's just like whatever.
Every year I feel like I roll up to the processor and there's like the guy that jumps out of his truck hasn't even gutted the deer and just shot it. Like that's like a service that these people are advertising now. Like it's $100 to process it. If you bring it in ungutted, it's $150.
Right.
And I'm like, who's going hunting and just shooting the deer, chucking it in their truck and dropping it off and letting it be someone else's problem? I mean, this is a whole nother ball of wax. This is a whole nother conversation.
But that's
but
the evolution of the hunter. Like
it just becomes like going out there and pulling the trigger.
Right, exactly. That's
It's
kind
not
of
even hunting.
I mean, it's part of it, but it's not the whole.
No, it's
like going back to the Native American thing, like it's bringing it full circle to feed the family.
Yeah.
And that's how we observed it from the beginning. I think that's why the perspective is a little bit different. And like you go out to some of these places, and I've filmed in certain places with certain people, and it's like the respect for the animal is not even there, and I can't comprehend that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we just shot this buck. Well, nobody wants the meat. Nobody wants the meat. Why'd you
shoot
kill
it?
that thing then?
Yeah.
Oh, because we have a TV show. Who are you? Who are
Dude,
you?
my grandpa took that shit so seriously.
So did
I killed a bird with a BB gun at his property, and he damn near made me eat it. I'm actually not kidding.
no.
Like he got in my ass. We don't kill anything unless you're gonna
we
eat it. He made like, and I was Little Red Rider and just plinked this sucker, and it was not okay.
You were about to be eating Blue Jay for lunch.
Yeah, he was not excited about that. But I mean, I never forgot it.
He should have made you eat that.
I agree.
I
agree.
You
I got off. I got off easy.
You shot a robin off the fence.
I don't know what it was, but I killed a bird.
You're a son of a gun.
I know.
That is true, though. I mean, we went
like 8.
we went
He's like,
rabbit
"Nate."
hunting.
Chill, bro. I was 8.
I was 8. Felt right.
I was
it,
actually
like, in
pretty
your
excited
face.
about it. Like I got him. You know what I mean? Like that was the crazy part. Is I hit him and I was all stoked, and Bumpa was not stoked.
It's like, nah.
Yeah, no
You
good
ain't
shot.
gonna
Like
get your fork.
yeah, exactly.
Start eating that
You ever
thing.
field dressed a blue jay? Because you're about to. You ever breast this one out?
You don't even need a knife for this one.
Oh, that's too funny. It's true though.
Yeah,
But I guess to bring this full circle,
we're dads. We got little boys.
that too. But I guess I was going more back to the original introduction of this podcast of like how we're going to be doing some
Yeah.
collaborations, and I think a lot of like what we talked about even before this, like long ago, weeks ago, months ago, and like that's kind of the content that we want
Yeah.
to shine.
Collaborate on. Yeah.
To promote. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
What's your guys' thing? Make hunting camps fun again.
Make hunt camps great.
Great again. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
I think
exactly it.
it's like, I don't know, it's funny how things come full circle, but like getting partnered up and being able to work with you guys, like your product
Mm-hmm.
is literally the product that we needed to start our original idea of Tag and Brag. Like your product allows people to relive their hunt
Yeah.
in probably the easiest barrier of entry
Yeah.
manner of like getting it on film and being able to show somebody else.
Yep.
And that, like, at its core, that clicked with me very much so. Obviously,
Yeah.
you guys are fantastic human beings, and the energy is there regardless. But
Yeah.
I think outside of your product and what we do with content, like, I truly believe there's a bigger reason that we've gotten connected.
Yeah.
I'm excited to explore that.
Yeah. Me too.
And maybe nothing comes out of it and whatever, but I do feel like we're all kind of speaking the same language
Yeah.
and feeling the same way about like where everything's at and the importance of where it needs to kind of go or shift to at least a little bit moving forward for the generations that come after us, because we have the responsibility of.
I mean, you scared me about it before, but like we looked the gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. Like the opportunity to hunt, like never mind the property and being able to go do it, but like regulation and the ability to go hunt deer.
Yep. To
Like,
just go get a
that
license.
might not exist forever.
That's
like our kids could live in a world where that's just you can't go deer hunting. That's terrifying to me.
Very, very
it's
real.
insane.
When so much of my identity is rooted in that right now, the
Right.
idea that the world could exist where my kid, that's not even an option for him,
Right.
that blows my mind. That scares the crap out of me.
You remember the huge thing in Colorado that just happened with the predator hunting?
Yeah.
That was like Prop 38 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like where they were literally trying to ban it
Yeah.
from like a legitimate voted on ban of bobcat and lion hunting. Like legit, like.
Yeah.
That's
scary.
Like
that's why
based on politics, not
based on the ballot
conservation.
box.
Yeah.
But that's real. Like that's a reality of our life.
Yeah.
You look at New Jersey; they don't have a bear hunting season, and they have the highest bear density in the entire country.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, their governor doesn't allow it unless something's changing. I wasn't aware of it. Like that's real.
Right.
Like that's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my point, though.
It's very real.
Like
it's so real. You can
the opportunity we have
proof.
Is foolish. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. But it's true. Like I think that's wrapping this up. Like that's kind of what Dev and I talk about. Like that's what we want our content to show is like we want to be the example of what we want the future to be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you just said it, but like that's kind of what we've all agreed upon, and I think that's the mission.
I love it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
and I'm on board.
Make hunting camps great again. That needs to be a T-shirt if it's not.
I got a hoodie upstairs and it says it on there.
No,
I do.
So people can go buy that on your website right now.
Yeah, it's got a little like animated buck with a red hat on that says "Make hunt camps great again."
I need one of those.
So plug all your like YouTube where they can get that shirt, the whole thing.
So our website is just tagnbrag.co. You
Yeah.
can get all the Make Hunt Camps Great Again apparel on there. We've got some logo apparel on there, and we will have more coming soon. Instagram, it's Team TAGNBRAG because there's some Australian guy with the handle TAGNBRAG, but everywhere else it's just at TAGNBRAG, TAGNBRAG. And you can find us on TikTok, Facebook. YouTube is where our long form content comes out first. And that's kind of where we're rooted the most. Like I think our long form content it kind of allows you to come along our journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of food plot stuff. Like, I mean, we've got content that's coming out multiple times a week throughout all 52 weeks of the year. So
Did you reach out to that guy? You said Australia?
Yeah.
Did you say hey?
He wants like $10,000 for the handle.
You're kidding.
Because he knows. He knows.
Does he even have any followers and stuff?
No, nothing. He doesn't even barely use it. He's got that, and he's got the tagnbrag.com URL.
Did he snipe it after you guys started?
No, it was before we started. He's got
got the URL too.
He's got the URL. That's why I got dashes in my email, and it literally every time I have to be like David at tag-n-brag.com. but this guy won't give it up. And now he knows. I've asked him enough times. He's like,
The price keeps going up.
10 grand. I'm like, 10 grand, dude. It's an Instagram handle. He's got like a stuffed animal business or something. I don't even think he does anything with it anymore. It's like
Tag and brag, you know?
toys. Like, dude, what's...
Yeah, can I just buy your whole company for that price?
I'm just waiting. He's kind of an older guy. I'm
Waiting him out.
yeah, waiting him out.
Will you plug our stuff?
Yeah, I don't want to screw it up, but basically, if you search Painted Arrow anywhere, you're gonna find us. We've kind of migrated away from the Painted Arrow Outdoors.
Yeah.
So it's just Painted Arrow. But our handle on Instagram is still Painted Arrow Outdoors.
Correct.
Yeah.
And everybody that's listening to this on the Goose Chasing platform that wants a very easy and very seamless way to film your hunts right from your phone,
PaintedArrow.com.
paintedarrow.com.
Check out the Mag Pro or the Shot Mag. That one's new for the
new shot mag is
shotgun
what
mod.
I'm the most excited about for turkey season coming up.
blasting a turkey at
Yeah.
10 yards is gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's banging. Pun intended.
Full pun intended.
It's banging. Yeah, but please, if you guys listen and anything resonated with you, reach out on one of the platforms. If whatever
leave a
you're listening
comment.
to this on, make it known. Like, we want to hear what your guys' feedback is and what you guys think the, I guess, appropriate steps are for kind of some of the things we talked about, right? We want to have hunting for the long term.
I actually have a question for the viewers.
Yeah.
So I want you to comment and tell me, if you're a hunter, who got you into it? How'd you get into it? I'm interested for that as a data point.
Yeah.
Was
Why?
it dad? Was it grandpa? Was it your uncle? Who was it?
Maybe it was just you.
Yeah, maybe it was just you.
That's cool too.
Yeah,
Okay.
right
Well,
on.
Let's wrap it up. It was a good solid hour and 45.
Wow.
Didn't feel like
Golly.
it, but it was.
No.
But we appreciate you guys listening along, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you.
See ya.
Peace.